It is our traditions, ceremonies, and rituals. Each small detail carries a deep layer of our ancestors' wisdom. It is our pride, our treasure, our national encyclopedia. Let's turn the pages of this encyclopedia together. Nomads believed it is impossible to predict three things in life: who will be your spouse, what will be the sex of your child, and the time of your death. Specific rituals corresponded to each of the stages of human's life. They contained the magical elements. In this program, we will tell about the importance of choosing a life partner for the Kazakhs and how ceremony of matchmaking takes place. Ceremony of matchmaking is called kudalık in Kazakh. If the family agreed on marriage of unborn children, these relatives-in-law were called belkuda. If the parents agreed to arrange marriage of baby boy and baby girl, then these relatives were called besikkuda. A single person without family caused a negative attitude among nomads. It seemed that he or she personified the absence of God's mercy. Such people were shunned by society. For example, widows were not invited to the feasts dedicated to the birth of the baby. Nomads believed that this could have a negative impact on the future of the child. Starting a new family was an important step in every person's life. Nomads prepared to this stage in advance. The parents were looking for a lady good enough for their son. Among the Kazakhs, the right of inheritance was given on the paternal side. If we look through the statistics of the 50s of the 20th century, there were no divorces among the Kazakhs. The only reason of this is the fact that all weddings, all marriages were arranged only with the parents' consent. Most parents used to negotiate, looked for the right person for their children. It was a process of negotiation between several tribes. This is a whole policy to become relatives-in-law with this and that tribe. People say, "Күйеу 100 жылдық, құда 1000 жылдық." It is translated as son-in-law is 100 years of kinship, relatives-in-law is thousands years of kinship. And for the Kazakhs, there were three kinds of relatives. It is relatives on father's side, relatives on mother's side, and relatives of your spouse. It is the tribe of your father's family, the tribe of your mother's family, and the tribe of your spouse's family. With every marriage, the tribe enlarged. People tried to arrange favorable marriages.
Укрупнялся, как сейчас современная фразеология выразится. Да. Они старались заключить выгодные браки.
Looking for a bride in the steppe, in a sense, was no different from the matrimonial plans of the royal families in Europe, for example. The Kazakhs sought to intermarry with a noble, rich or renowned tribe where women were healthy, fertile and well-educated. They tried to find brides from afar, and these had some kind of geopolitical plan.
Kızыңды Kırım'a, ұлыңды Ұрымға дейді ғой. Алыс жерлер менен.
Look, Kazakh people usually say, "Give me your daughter and son to take to our distant lands." Matchmaking with people from distant lands is one of the factors to strengthen the kinship. It is a way to increase the territories, to say in modern language, to enhance security of the village. Why did people become relatives with tribes living far? Of course, it is a purity of blood. On the one hand, becoming relatives with distant tribes provided the purity of blood, and on the other hand, it was believed that this action had positive impact on border security.
Это были политические союзы.
These were political alliances, unions geographically favorable for each party. These tribes had good grazing areas.
Элементарно выгодные пастбища с кем-то заключить, потом.
Many factors affected the arrangement of marriage. There are many points of choosing the groom, the bride. Here, elders played a very important role. They used to look for a bride for their grandsons. They all knew the information about ladies of certain village.
Например, они могли для своих там внуков искать невесту. Например, шла информация, что в таком-то ауле есть невеста.
Zhao Shi is the messenger of another tribe who comes for matchmaking. According to some reports, the man who had such mission was also called Tilshe. Zhao Shi is a person who talks to the parents of the bride, gains their confidence and says, "Sizde laşın var, bizde bürküt var." In translation, this means you have peregrine falcon, we have golden eagle. So he tells in hints, not in open way. In general, the Kazakhs are witty, they like hints, and parents realize that this conversation concerns their daughter. They have some time to think about and discuss with relatives this proposal. This is how the visit of Zhao Shi looked like. In old days, Zhao Shi used to make certain mess in his clothes to emphasize his mission. He could put on his head backwards, or he put one trouser leg into the right boot and left trouser leg was above the boot. The Kazakhs still use the art to speak and show by hints. Some families still remember the methods which the unusual visitors used.
И когда приходили просто взрослые, пожилые люди, они просто их встречали, никогда ни о чем не спрашивали.
When the old man came, he was met with honors and hosts did not ask him questions. And if the person left without saying anything, then there was the reason and people started searching on the place where the guest sat. What were they looking for? They were looking for an owl. If guests came and left without saying any information, then there was something beneath their visit, and hosts began to scour their place where the guests sat. If there were an owl, it meant that these people came to see their daughter. This was the way mentioned that they made proposal. It is so delicate situation, like we just wanted to see your daughter if you would not mind.
Это такая деликатная ситуация. Мы просто сказать, обратили внимание на вашу дочь, если вы не против.
Nomads had the custom not to marry blood relatives up to 7 generations. It could lead to the birth of disabled children. Modern science calls this exogamy. Modern Kazakhs try to follow the same standards.
Kudalar geldi, kudalar.
Kudalik, matchmaking ceremony could last for years as long as the future bride and groom were growing up. But there is another style in the life of modern Kazakhs. Now messengers do not negotiate with the other party. The marriage proposal is passed by kudalar, relatives-in-law.
Hoş geldiniz.
Молодые люди это друг другу полюбили. Они сообщают родителям. И назначены, если это...
Two young people fell in love with each other and they tell their parents about this. And if they live in one village, the matchmakers come on the appointed day. Before there were several steps, but nowadays it is simplified. Matchmakers come once. For example, they come once from Shymkent to Almaty. They cannot come several times. Approximately 15 to 20 people from the groom's side come to the bride's home.
Временем просто не располагает. Допустим, 15-20 человек со стороны жениха едут свататься.
A choice of kudalar is also a special ritual. The family discuss the list of guests. It is an important event and a significant mission. Everybody assumes great responsibility in matchmaking ceremony. The delegation of both families is headed by the eldest person in the family. In Kazakh, they are called baskuda. In old days, head of matchmakers, baskuda, while entering the bride's house, hung whip on the honorable place. If they did not come to agreement on the marriage, the whip was given back to the owner. The Kazakhs called it камшы қайтару.
Там среди этих людей бывает баскуда, главный, Би куда второй по значимости.
Among these people, there is the main person who is Bas Kuda. The second most important Kuda is called Big Kuda, and other respectable people. Here, serious disputes can take place. In Kazakh, it's called Janjal, and these people have to overcome all difficulties. Usually, experienced, respectable people come, they are good negotiators and can settle the disputes.
Ну, прекрасные собеседники уладят.
Usually people ask friends of the bride's parents to participate in matchmaking. They even ask some relatives. In this case, situation can change. It's easier to talk to the bride's parents.
Одной родоплеменной принадлежности. Тогда вообще ситуация изменяется, им легче разговаривать. Вот.
The matchmaker's mission is not only to ask the bride's parents for the hand of their daughter, but also to give them traditional gifts. During Kudalık ceremony of matchmaking, parties agree on the date of the visit of the bride's relatives, how many relatives will arrive. They also discuss on the date and place where the wedding will be held. They agree on conditional kalım, dowry.
яғни қалыңмал дегеніміздің өзі жалпы екі жастың қосылуына
The dowry itself was a kind of a liability which is paid as guarantee of the marriage of two young people and strength of this marriage. Actually, it is called kalandıkmal. In translation, it means the cattle to be paid for the bride. Earlier, in Soviet times, it was called kalym in Russian. People think that the Kazakhs sold their daughters for cattle, and it's not correct understanding. In fact, dowry comes back to the family of groom. It was one of the types of gifts exchanged among the Kazakhs.
басқаша бір теріс мағына беріліп келген дүние. Шынту айтына келгенде қалың мал деген нәрсеміз бұл жаңағы жасаумен қайтатын. Алыс берістің қазақтағы бір түрі.
Ну, у казахов қалыңмал.
Kalınmal, it is so-called bride price, which the groom's side gives to the bride's side. The bride's parents return more than this price. This kalınmal shows the solvency of the groom as the future head of the new young family.
Нового хозяйства.
Beş parmak geldi.
In one of the next releases, we will tell more about the gifts exchanged between relatives-in-law. It is a very interesting ritual which has nuances that only ethnographers know. And now it is time to show an important element of ceremony of matchmaking. If the bride's side agree on the proposal, then it is shown by serving ritual meal, which is called kuyrukbauer. It is snack cooked of liver and fat mutton, which is cut into small strips.
Понятие печь
The concept of liver is very wide among the Kazakhs. It is connected with the blood. That means we have become relatives. Relatives-in-law mutually treat each other with this snack as if securing their relations for many years. And the groom is served mutton brisket. In Kazakh, it is called töstek. Brisket has a symbolic function which indicates friendship and close relationship. Töst tüstürü means to welcome each other with hugging. It is the matchmaking due to which the cattle are on the hill and there is love between two young people. In Kazakh it sounds as following. Төске демалы, төсексе басы қосылған құдалық. Töst tüstürü shows the close relationship. Brisket is given to the groom because he is the main person who caused this friendship. Family life of the Kazakhs has absorbed all the best from the experience of ancestors. Yes, some rituals were changed, some were simplified, others disappeared. Despite of this, the main content of the wedding ritual still has the national flavor, and the matchmaking is still one of the special events in the Kazakh family. The Kazakh village does not exist in the way it used to be, and there are no nomads, wandering people. But most of prairie folkways and traditions still surround us. We follow them, but we not always know what they mean. Bahit Kairbekov, poet.